Jougan, the pure eye, the myth, the legend. It might be coming sooner than any of us expected, and not for the reasons you might think. Because after the latest chapter, I started piecing things together, and I think I'm onto something. This theory is a bit out there, but hear me out. Kashin Koji can see all possible futures, literally infinite timelines. His entire goal is to guide the world toward the best possible outcome, and for that, he's willing to take risks and make sacrifices if it gets him there. We've already seen how he works. Take Yodo, for example. In the vast majority of futures he observed, Yodo's death caused Sarada to awaken her Mangekyu Sharingan. But in timelines where Yodo survived, Sarada rarely awakened it. So to Koji, Yodo's death wasn't just necessary, it was the path forward. That's how he operates. He plays the long game, which brings us to Boruto. Koji tells him, if you step onto the battlefield, Jura will kill you, and not just in one timeline, in all of them. According to Koji, every possible future ends with Boruto dying to Jura. But let's be honest, that's cap. Boruto is the main character. We know he's not dying here. Even if his chances are slim, Koji should have seen at least one future where Boruto survives and advised him accordingly. But he didn't. And that tells me something huge. Koji's concern isn't Boruto dying, it's what happens because he survives. Let's talk possibilities. If Boruto enters the battlefield, Koji clearly believes the consequences are catastrophic, but not because Boruto wins or loses, it's what comes after. The most obvious option? One of the major villains levels up. We're talking about Jura, Momoshiki, Kawaki, or even Amato. Matsuri and Ryu just got defeated, and their soul thorn bulbs are now unguarded. So, maybe someone absorbs one and gains new powers. Could be Jura, Kawaki, or even Momoshiki. But to me, that feels unlikely. A more realistic idea is Kawaki, who just had his limiters removed, joining Boruto, defeating Jura, and absorbing his soul thorn bulb. That sounds plausible, but I think it's too soon for Jura to be taken down like that. Then there's Amato. He could tighten his grip over Kawaki, unlock new knowledge about the Shinju, or maybe even help Kawaki awaken a new Shinjutsu. Though, figuring stuff around Amato at this point is way too complicated, nor is this the option I'm here to talk about. Which brings me to the main point, Momoshiki and Jura winning. Here's how I think it plays out. Boruto does go to the battlefield, and he does lose, just as Koji predicted. Jura beats him. He's on the brink of death. But Momoshiki needs Boruto alive. He can't afford him dying here, so he takes over and intervenes in some subtle way. Momoshiki's intervention and Boruto's defeat leads to awakening a new Shinjutsu, the Jougan. We've seen this before. Koji awakened Shinjutsu from a near-death experience. So could Boruto. And here's where it gets dark. You'd think this is a good thing, right? Boruto awakens a powerful eye, gains new abilities, maybe even turns the tide. But no. I believe this is the moment everything spirals out of control. The first clue is the fact that Koji does see that as the worst possible future for whatever reason. The second one is Momoshiki's prophecy at the start of the series. Those blue eyes shall eventually take everything from you. Some fans think the prophecy was about Ida. It wasn't. It was about Boruto. Right after the prophecy, Sarada even comments that Boruto's eyes are more blue than Naruto's. Then, just before Ada's omnipotence activates, Momoshiki tells Boruto, "You've lost one blue eye." He was always talking about Boruto's eyes. Now Jougan as a pure eye might just be the one blue eye that seals the deal. For this, let's look at this Shibai panel. It seems like he's surrounded by Jougans. My theory is Boruto is somehow connected to Shibai via Jougan. Perhaps he will use his eyes to observe this plane of existence. So when Boruto awakens the Jougan, it might open the door for Shibai to get involved. Not physically, but spiritually, cosmically. He might be able to influence events from beyond. And I think Momoshiki knows this. That's why, when Boruto is defeated, he ensures the Jougan awakens. And that opens the way for Shibai to subtly assert his control over reality. It even ties back to something Jura said in chapter 13. It's as if the heavens decree that you remain alive. Perhaps this is some divine intervention. Sure, he could have been referring to Delta nearby, or maybe, just maybe, he sensed something greater watching over Boruto. Something divine. Even if Shibai won't be the one influencing the events, Jougan awakening gives Momoshiki a lot more power for when he will take over Boruto. So here's the full picture. Boruto loses, the Jougan awakens. Shibai starts influencing events and Momoshiki grows stronger and becomes a bigger threat. Boruto becomes the trigger for a divine-level threat. This is why Koji lied, because in his infinite vision, Boruto's death isn't the worst-case scenario. The real nightmare is what happens if he lives. Now yeah, this theory is out there, but Koji's warning doesn't make sense unless there's something bigger behind Boruto's appearance on the battlefield. If you've got a different take, maybe a twist on Koji's intentions, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.